you have a virus and you get another virus, and heaven forbid you get a vaccine at that point, right? You just got 3 viruses. Your body shuts down. Your microbiome of your stomach cannot handle that, and your brain is on fire.
What are some of the toxins that we need to really be looking out for, and what are they mostly found in?
In order for the virus not to thrive, we would create different cocktails for people so that it never became full-blown AIDS.
Why is that, though, that you think that there was such a change during COVID?
Aging is important because as we age, we want to look the best we can and we want to feel the best we can. So for me, this is a total reset. I'm in my late 20s and 30s working on projects that they declined in this country because it was THC. It's ridiculous to me that we can use an opioid or fentanyl, but we can't use this, right?
A detox bath that you do that sounded brutal. What is that and what does it do?
I'm going to tell you, it's the most painful thing ever.
Oldish. The art of knowing more and caring less. With your host, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
And a lot of people, at the point when I was first going through what I was going through, everybody was saying, well, have you checked for Lyme disease? Like, is that, and I did all the tests and everything came back negative. And it was like, no, it's not coming back as Lyme disease. I don't know if the testing was.
But let me tell you this, I hate to say this because doctors, if they hear this, are going to get upset with me. But your test, like your essay test, like you know how we took them for COVID or whatever, they don't have an accurate, like there's an accurate component. Like we think 30 to 40%, right? Wow. So how are you getting an accurate diagnosis? And then the problem is if that doctor only cares about that result, they're going to tell you you don't have it. Right. And I'm not saying you did or didn't, but the likelihood is, and another thing about Lyme disease, I just want everyone to know is I think it's contagious. Like so you know when COVID happened and people were like, they were doing these interviews and they were like, is it sexually transmitted? It makes me so mad. I heard all these doctors answer on these podcasts and everything. No. Well, here's my answer. If you can get it from being 6 feet apart, right, then when you're having sex and kissing someone, you can definitely get that virus. Mm-hmm. And there's a component of Lyme disease like that. So that's why, and there's a mold fungus component, right? And there's actually a viral bacterial component. So I think a lot of times it goes undiagnosed. And I think if there's other viruses, probably what happened to you, which is I don't know this 100%, but when you have a virus and you get another virus, and heaven forbid you get a vaccine at that point, right? You just got 3 viruses.
Right.
Your body shuts down. Your microbiome of your stomach cannot handle that, and your brain is on fire. There's a book, if you guys ever have time,
Brain
you should
on Fire?
read it. Have you read it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my gosh, I did too.
I started reading a little bit of it. Tracy sent it to me when I was recovering.
You guys have to read it.
I should read it.
You know why
Brain
you need to
on
read
Fire.
it? Like everyone needs to read that book because when I read that book, I'm like, wait a minute, this reminds me of me. And it's about the viral component of inflammation in the brain. It was a rare diagnosis this girl had, but it took them years. They all thought she was crazy. I mean, she ended up in a vegetable state in the hospital. The reason I'm saying this, and I hope the audience listens, just because a doctor tells you don't have something or that you do, you don't know that that's accurate. And if you're really experiencing things like you experienced and I did, you shouldn't feel crazy. You got to go to a functional med, integrative med, whatever doctor. So when I say you don't listen to one person, to me, you get opinions from Eastern and Western medicine. You listen to your gut instinct, and then you follow the person that's giving you advice that you think is helping you the most after yourself. Does that make sense? So you guys had a doctor, thank goodness. And I say this all the time. I wish everybody had different doctors instead of just going to primary care and just, and I'm not against a primary care doctor, but the goal, again, is for your body to be healthy.
Right.
It can't be a doctor or scientist ego. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's lose the ego.
It has to be somebody that understands that every single body is different and they're all going to react in different ways to things. Like the understanding that I had of mine, which is what you were just talking about, is it was everything compounded. It wasn't just one thing specifically. It was internal inflammation. It was emotional things. There were all these things. So then when I was getting I was kind of living in this like fight or flight mode. So my body shut down. Anytime I would get any sort of virus, my body would go, I can't fight one more thing. I'm fighting this every single day, 24 hours a day. This internal inflammation, this fight or flight stuff, this emotional stuff that you've got going on. And So it just shut down. But my body handled it very differently from somebody else's. So you've got to have somebody that can, on a case-by-case basis, look at you and go, okay, let's dig into who you are a little bit 100%. And figure it out.
They've got to know everything about you. So one of the problems is you go into an office, you have 30 minutes, or you do a test and you get a diagnosis.
And they sit with an iPad and they go through and they go, okay, wait, you said you're not getting sleep. You're not, okay, it could be this. Let me go talk to some people and run all of the things by and see if they have a better idea, but they're just sort of throwing ideas against a wall and seeing what sticks and then medicating based on that, it seems.
But think if you're not, I'm just going to say this, think if you're not an important person in the world view, or you don't have money, or you're just going, you have no hope. Like my hope is we give people hope and they can understand there are natural things you can do to help your body. So what's crazy to me is that I can talk to someone and they understand how Zithromax, which is a pharmaceutical that's a antibiotic, can work, but they don't understand how a natural product can work, which is really mind-blowing to me because your scientists work on both, right? There's a stock market behind one industry.
Exactly.
And there's not behind the other, right? But my thing is both can really help you. And if people think that our creator, whoever that is, right, if our creator didn't put things that are natural on this earth to help us, then they haven't studied Native American history or spiritual history. I mean, I'm being honest. Like my parents, my mom's for sure.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with what you're saying.
What is Lyme's disease is one thing, and that's, as we've talked about, from ticks, or is it monkeys? I didn't realize it can.
At one point the theory was that it was from
waves.
monkeys.
It could be from the wind.
HIV.
I think M. Night Shyamalan wrote a movie about it being in the wind or something, right?
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan. They're crazy movies. Well, wait, before we get into that, what you slightly just said it, and I said that I had heard this only about a month and a half ago. Lyme's disease came from weaponizing ticks. This is what we were talking about. Was that right?
I think there were some projects in other countries where that occurred. And so I think that's why I've been blown away, to be honest. I think when you've lived a life and that's all the life you know. So think about me. I'm in my 20s. I go into a pharmaceutical biotech industry. I'm exposed to the latest technology and the latest, like I was in my early 20s, early 30s, exposed to bioprinting, cloning, like Molly, Dolly, all this shit, because your major companies are involved in that. So when you're on the science side, you're educated or brought in to consult or to look at projects, right? So most of the things I did, they're heavy NDAs. Like if I'm working in China, if I'm working in Russia, right? There's heavy NDAs around what I'm doing. And I just know it always blows my mind. It still does. Like when someone says, wait a minute, is there biological warfare? Are they using biologics? Because you guys understand what biologics are basically what a scientist has produced to, instead of a nuclear bomb,
it's a living, breathing
thing, whether it's a virus or bacteria or a parasite or whatever. You can weaponize almost everything. Every country's done this, you guys. So when people say, well, Ukraine did it or Russia, I'm like, oh, in the I'm not being rude, but I'm like, and we're a major country.
Right.
So for me, let's all talk reality. So I wrote this book called Military Science and another book that just came out called Remediation. But the military science book, I thought they're never going to release that book. And it actually was released. I have a good friend, Karen Floyd. We released at the Kennedy Center. We had, I think, 26, 27 ambassadors, congresswomen, senators. I signed books. But in that book, and they were supposed to take this chapter out, was a chapter that I wrote, I think in the year 1999 or 2000 on biological warfare. And I wrote a chapter on creating biologics through viruses to attack populations.
You sort of laugh
and
as
you're
you
still
say
sitting
that.
with us. It's amazing.
Well, I didn't want that released. Yeah, so I was like, wait a minute, this chapter is still in here, and we were supposed to take this chapter out.
Did it create any difficulty for you having that released in your book?
That is my least sold book, which is probably good.
How interesting.
Because they bought all of them. They removed them from all the bookshelves.
That book. They love to cure the causes. They're not buying that book. I actually was shocked when I figured it out. I was like, this is not good. I'm like, it was a major presentation actually. And I kind of, after that, let me just say this, it was kind of dropped. Like it was presented to the Vatican. It was put in the library there. I used to speak at the Science Pontification Academy. I just haven't done it this year. But the Science Pontification Academy has the World Changer Summit, which is some of your top scientists. So I know that they've used that book, and I think it was also it's in the Abu Dhabi and Dubai libraries.
Wow, military science. I bet it's going to become popular at one point. Someone's going to discover it and be like, why aren't we all knowing this?
No, someone's going to be like, Christina, don't listen to Christina.
Yeah, totally.
But I never thought that would ever come out.
Yeah.
Because when we did it, I said, please make sure that chapter's taken out. And but
You were
it's
like,
still,
sure.
it's
Listen,
still in
everything is as it should be. It was obviously meant to come out, and for whatever reason, maybe it hasn't served its purpose yet, and it will.
It was just written. My prediction. I just wrote about the fact that it could happen.
Yeah.
And that it would be a way to do a war to control a population, just like cutting off our internet or our financial system would be, right?
Ooh, we could go down a whole other road on this podcast right now, but I'm going to steer us back to something else. So there are things like Lyme disease, which you get from something, but there are also toxins in our food, in our
100%.
environment, in our furniture, in our everything. And that can lead to the disruption in your gut and your microbiome and the inflammation, the brain. It's major things that people end up living an undiagnosed autoimmune disease and then on medications for the rest of their life. If we go back to the beginning, and you have this book, the Cure the Cause, right? What are some of the toxins that we need to really be looking out for? What are the big three, you would say, and what are they mostly found in?
So I want to say this. I think everyone should not worry about the fact that they're born with parasites, bacteria, viruses, and fungus, because we all are. And I want to say that because for me, it's phenomenal. I have this really odd relationship, I think, with the human body and the cells and what goes on. It's its environment. So you know how we're in this world and we're people and we're walking around and there's like political parties and there's gangs and there's different things. So I kind of I did a lot of work, not a lot, a couple of years on HIV and Hep C and understanding viruses and understanding that we would create these cocktails, right? In order for the virus not to thrive, we would create different cocktails for people so that it never became full-blown AIDS. HIV, the truth is you can live your whole life with that, right?
I know someone that does.
Yeah, but back then, people thought it was like this death diagnosis. And so that probably was a pivotal changing point in my scientific career because I started really understanding, and I'll use an example. They talked about the fact that people that had HIV would have sex with other people that had HIV because then they felt like we both have HIV. They didn't understand that there were different mutations. So what would happen, what we realized is people were dying from HIV because they could have lived, but they were having sex with other people that had a different mutation.
Strain.
Just like that's why it's hard to get vaccinated for certain things when there's different mutations because you don't know. But so for me, your biggest toxins, environmental triggers are the heavy metals because when they go in the body, if you don't get those out, if you don't detox, and I call it zoded because I made that word up because I felt like detox was backwards. I feel like you need to get rid of things and at the same time supplement your body so you look beautiful. You know, like if you take everything off of you, you're still a beautiful person, but if you put your clothes on and your makeup and your hair, it's even better. I think you're beautiful without it. You know what I mean?
You're saying, though,
you know what I mean. No, you're beautiful, but you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I feel great right now.
So inside your body, it's the same way. You can clean it out and be naked, but you've got to supplement it with what you need. And heavy metals are stripping the body. So that, to me, is your number one trigger that I feel like scientifically and medically, we don't even talk about it, right? I also feel like because we've had a pandemic, and of course, let me take stress out of it and lack of sleep because those are major factors as well. The economy, I'm just going to tell you guys, impacts health, and there's all kinds of studies. I do think there was an outbreak, and I talked about this when the pandemic happened. I wasn't worried about the pandemic. I felt like we're strong enough as human beings, we can overcome this if we handle it the right way. Did we? No.
Of course not.
But it's okay. We move on. We learned.
Right.
And then I feel like what happened, I don't feel like I know. Parasites, different types of parasites came into fruition during that time.
Oh, interesting.
And different types of fungus and mold. So your parasites grow in mold and fungus in your body. And and especially like with women, we have a lot. In fact, you can be a woman that's predisposed to UTIs or fungus, which is me, and those women usually will have more cancer or get more viruses. Like there's just this cycle, right? So you have to put everything kind of in control. It's kind of like being a mother and managing all the kids, right? But I really, once that pandemic happened, once a viral outbreak occurs on that level, your parasitic community grows in different ways that we've never seen, and so does the fungal community. And people didn't realize that. So behind the scenes, I'm getting information and being exposed to the fungus and parasites that no one's ever seen, right? And then do we talk about that? No. You want to know why? To talk about another factor that's a major deal is too much for humanity.
Why is that though, that you think that there was such a change during COVID?
Because when a virus comes, so people don't really realize this, but I think your major scientists do. When a virus comes into play, that's like a new smallpox, right? Because smallpox had been around, and then they had smallpox, and it killed like countries, right? The Mayans or whatever. I'm not being flippant because that was a major deal.
I hear you.
So what happens is when that equilibrium happens, then it gives your other community so we're a host. So just so you guys know, all those things are trying to take over our bodies, right? Actively. So if something pops its head up and gets strength, the other ones feel strength and they come up and they create something new that wasn't artificially manufactured. I'm not saying that this was, but it was, you have to worry about it.
There was a natural component that came along
100%, that natural component, and then that induced that. And the problem is, typically when you go to medical school or you're studying that, unless you've been exposed to all those different areas, environmental science, medical science, research science, you don't know that. Now, if you went home today and looked into that, you'll find it, right? And I could send you articles on it. But the mass majority of people don't know that. And I haven't talked about it a lot because the last thing you want is more fear, right?
Right.
But for me, this isn't a crisis either, because we're smarter than that. We have to take over spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically our bodies. And the reason to me I always bring up the economy is I understand I don't look at just my life. People have asked me before, could you retire? Yes. I look at a humanity and what are we leaving for our children and our children's children. So if you don't have a movement where you get these things in control, then what do? And I think you guys already understand how to get it in control, because I think people that are in touch with their bodies and actively working every day, if you think about it, you're the host. So you have all these things inside of you that want to take over you. You understand they want to take you over, right? Like those movies are not incorrect.
I don't know if I thought of it. The first time I thought of it like that, where it was when I did a heavy metal mold and parasite detox. Yeah. A full 10-day cleanse, and I will not get graphic on this because no one needs to hear, but
they don't want to hear it.
I literally saw, and I was like, oh, it's real. And genuinely, I did this cleanse because I was like, that's bullshit. Yeah. That isn't possibly inside anyone. And then I was proven wrong. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, it's like the movie Aliens. They're literally trying to take over my body. They're inside of you.
And here's the weirdest thing. So here I am. So think about my personality. So I'm in this country, but I'm working in the Middle East and Asia and all over the world, and some of the poorest countries in the world. So in those countries, just so you guys know, talking about worms and people, everyday conversation. Talking about parasites and people. So I'll never forget two situations. One was Nigeria, one was Malaysia, and using turmeric curcumin and black cumin seed oil to get rid of parasites in the body, where in one of the individuals there was a wound, and we put it on top, and it was a very concentrated product that I had worked on, and the parasites just left the wound. You could watch. It was so.
You watched them leave the wound.
It was horrible, just running out of the wound. Yeah,
I so want to see that. And I don't, but I do. You know what I mean?
Well, like, I was caught off guard. I'm like, what in the heck why don't we know this? So think about this.
Right? Why am I not wearing a white suit right now?
And then think about this. You go back to your country and you're talking to people that are medical doctors and scientists, and they're like, what do you mean there were parasites and worms and tumor? And you're like, so you tell me that they're in those countries and not our countries. And then another thing I want to ask you guys, do you have animals?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had them? Do you understand if you have they have hookworms, roundworms, pinworms.
Yep.
Do you understand that those transfer to human beings?
Constantly.
So they talk about that in other countries. In our country,
they talk about it in
we haven't.
Australia.
We're tongue kissing our pets.
But
in
guess
this
what?
country.
Oh, we
If you
don't.
watch, if you watch now different things on commercials, it'll say if you have so watch now if you see a pharmaceutical commercial, watch when it says if you have a parasitic infection or a fungal infection, please let your doctor know.
Oh yeah.
And you know what I want to say? But is the doctor testing? Like
Right.
who's testing you for?
Who's testing you for it?
And the assays for fungus are a high negative positive. So you don't know whether you have it or not. And you don't know which version. And think about this. If there's all these new versions and mutations, who's diagnosing that? Not to worry everyone, but here's what I have to say. That's why you use turmeric and curcumin. That's why you use black cumin seed. That's why you detox.
Just take care of it from
because
the
you're
beginning
controlling your environment. So like from your perspective and mine and yours and Clayton's and all of ours, we're controlling this environment. You can't put your body second because it's like if you're in an airplane, put the mask on first. You can't help your kids unless you're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so you guys have it because you understand, but I want to tell you a majority of the population doesn't.
Yeah.
So part of it has to be to get the information out there and not just to wealthy, famous people, but to everyone because everyone does matter.
I heard you talking about your detox at some point. It's something with hot water and
Oh, a
is that-
detox bath that you do that sounded brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that and what does it do?
Yeah, can we just?
What is that and what does it
Can
do?
I get the recipe for that?
It sounded like your skin
No,
was going to
don't.
peel off.
Don't want to do it. Okay, so we have a room full of people
off.
that are all like, no, do not share
This
this.
is no, she can still share it, but this is a woman's detox. Men, we can't handle this.
Okay.
Okay, that's not true.
No, trust me.
Okay.
No. So I have a product that I worked on that grew from one country to over 90 in 5 years. And it's not my product. And the reason I say that, I'm the scientist that developed it. I have the patents. I have the different form. I did it. But I believe when we develop something, it goes back to what we talked about. I got ideas, for example, from Clayton and from other people that weren't scientists, that were NBA, NFL, football, basketball players, because I was working on a project. They gave me the idea of what I needed to work on and asked me to work on it because they needed help detoxing. They didn't want to go have surgery after they finished playing basketball and football. And so they wanted their body to heal. So I started working with benzonites and zeolites, which I had worked with before because zeolites actually make medication work better, right? They can make it extend. And your body is composed of silica and water, right? Orthosilic acid is one of our most common resources in this earth. And orthosilic acid is a zeolite. Our zeolites come from orthosilic acid. So I took out the silica out of a zeolite and I basically used different frequencies and intervals, magnets, polarization, and energy levels to program this silica to go into the body, not to go into the cell or the brain, but to communicate to help the body cleanse, right? I added vitamin C components that I had made because all vitamin C is not the same. So I basically altered the vitamin C, but not synthetically. So the key to all this is I didn't use synthetics. This is all natural. So you can say, why were you using music? Why were you using intervals? Because I understand frequency, right? We do it in pharmaceutical. Why wouldn't we do it naturally but not use a synthetic? And so this particular formula I use every day. I also got approval for reversal of aging and regeneration of the skin, hair, and nails. So when I say that, people pay attention, but really the overall purpose was to clean the body like we talked about, to create this pH balance and this equilibrium. So I started doing that. And through this process, when the pandemic was happening, I started taking my own products. So you guys may not understand that. It'd be like you cooking dinner. You may not eat the dinner, right? So every product I've ever made, I test on me. We do third-party testing. I send it off. Every country we're in, just so you guys know, does additional testing. So, but I got sick one day. I'll never forget this. And I thought, I really need a complete detox. And I had been, what country had I been in? I think I had been in Ghana or Nigeria. I had been somewhere. And I know when I'm in that environment, I'm exposed to things I'm not typically exposed to here. There's different parasites there. There's different worms. So I came up with a concoction that I don't want anyone else to use, but it works. I really don't, because I don't want people upset with me. I don't sell this. So,
Right.
so I don't sell this. I use extremely hot water. I add Epsom salt and lavender, and then I use a sweet orange, a clove, a oregano, black
This
cumin
is
seed.
exactly what I heard before. And I
turmeric.
was like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Right. I'm trying to get the ingredients list.
She'll write it down.
I'll write it down for you. And sometimes I will alter it. I'm going to tell you, it's the most painful thing ever. So I make the
Wait,
water.
painful how? What do you mean painful?
So because you're adding those oils, which have activations, which are getting rid of things inside the body
Yeah.
and helping
Oregano
detox.
oil I use all the time.
Yeah. So now sometimes, so I add the lavender to try to cool it off, and I'll add like an MCT or coconut oil to help in the water, because otherwise it's miserable. You turn it on hot, you put it in. If you can sit in that for 2 to 3 minutes, and I've done it for up to 5 minutes, you're probably you're going to feel different the next day. You're going to feel better, but it's miserable. You itch, you have red all over you because things are coming out.
Yeah.
And then you use the bathroom a lot. If you do that along with a detox program you're doing, or like the zeolite that I worked on, the clean slate, it impacts from my perspective, it's been a game changer when something goes wrong. Because remember, let's go back to Lyme disease. So when I start feeling the foggy brain, the anxiety, or I feel inflamed, that's what I do. I use my products, but this is an extra step I take, and it's pretty traumatic.
I won't recommend
really,
anyone else does, but I'm so down to try it.
You could do it. You could do it. If you're someone that's dedicated to health, I'm telling you, you could both do it. Clayton almost lost his mind when he did it. Like, I was like,
life.
If I can do it, you can do it.
You
He did
almost
it, and he was like, I'm not
lost
doing that
both.
again. And I go, but for me, I've done it multiple times, because I also know you're doing a reset. And so for me, aging is important, because as we age, we want to look the best we can, and we want to feel the best we can. So for me, this is a total reset that and if you ask me, where did I see this happen? How did I know about it? I was in the Philippines and in Malaysia. I saw different doctors using different techniques, and I paid attention.
Yeah.
And they each have a little bit of a different formula, but I saw them able to really help people with major health problems. In this country, no one uses it. So it's
Okay.
We don't use a lot of, I think the community is growing that uses a lot more natural things, right? But no, I've never heard of
and
this
these
one
oils
before,
aren't mine. And people ask me whose oils. I use doTERRA's. I don't work for doTERRA.
Yeah.
I go get a very high concentrated oil, because for me, so I want you to know this, and I'm sure you do. Not all vitamin C is the same. Not all oils are the same. So you really want to get your purest, highest ingredients.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where is it that that people can start getting into this knowledge? And I'm sure it is through your books as well, but to teach themselves the beauty of turmeric and black cumin seed and oil of oregano and all these ways that we can help our bodies along when symptoms start and you're feeling brain fog, or don't straight away go onto a big pharma, a medication. Try some other things first and see how it feels. Where can people start to get this knowledge? I say that because I have friends that are like, it either sounds woo-woo or it's not instant gratification, which we're lazy, right?
Yeah.
We get instant gratification from these big medications, and yet there is a slower but much more effective, gentle and positive way to help your body.
100%.
Where do we start learning these things?
So just a really quick comment about the instant gratification, and then I'll go into that.
Yep.
It's like a one-night stand versus being in love, right? And I always tell people, fall in love with your body. Like, you got to fall in love, right? You really do, because it's not just a quick fix. It never is going to be a quick fix. In fact, if you really pay attention, there's not a cure to diseases. Your cancer may get better, right, go to remission, but it's still in your body. Your body can still become inflamed, but you can't be scared. You've got to just take the steps to really jump in. So, interesting fact, at one point I was studying spirituality, religion, and I thought, because I was so fascinated with the inner self and what we're supposed to know and do in our life. And for me, from a very young age, it's instinctual. Like, I felt a voice at a very young age tell me this, right? And so now you fast forward and I'm older. Back then, I just listened to it. And I started researching every spiritual book there is out there. And do you know, in every religion, they talk about turmeric, curcumin, and black cumin seed.
Do they really?
Yeah. So whether you're looking at your Muslim faith, your Buddhist, your Hindu, your Jewish, your Christian, even the type of medicine they're practicing in India and the Middle East and the Native American Indians, they've used it. So I'm big into learning from history.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I really believe, like I'll use an example, the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incas, we can't explain. We don't know if it's aliens. Why were they able to do things that we are just
were
now
on it.
learning?
Yeah.
How were the Egyptians able? So I feel like we've lost our memory. So what I try to do, and I've always done this, is kind of erase my brain and go back to what other people knew and start from scratch. So if people want to learn, they can go to their different spiritualities and religions. There's also, I could send you guys and you can post it, tons of research about even, I can't make these claims because I can't claim anything, but turmeric, curcumin, black cumin seed even cause what's called apoptosis of the cells that are bad. So cancer cells, we know they can kill cancer cells. And so for me, that's just phenomenal. And then another thing for me is I got to study in the pharmaceutical industry what we were using to create things. And people don't know this, but most of the products you take come from like a plant or a leaf or a mineral or a vitamin, and then they're altered, right? So I understood the importance of that. If you can make a human monoclonal antibody go in to target different diseases and cancer, then how could you naturally not do it? And if you said to me it's not the same, really? Because I think maybe we've been brainwashed to think that. So for me, there's all kinds of information out there. We're just not showing it.
Right.
But as a scientist that went back to school to Harvard and Cornell and studied everything, and part of the reason, just so you guys know I did that, wasn't even because I wanted to be able to say, I went there to learn this. But the truth is, I learned a lot of it just out in with practitioners all over the world. That's where I really learned it. Yeah. And for me, instinctively listen, did I take the education and use it 100%? 100% it helped me. Because I learned, in my opinion, from where we failed in science and medicine, and now we need to be better. And we need to stop being arrogant about the fact that we failed in the future. And we need to move forward and help humanity. We need to stop. Okay, if we don't want to admit we've done something wrong, I can accept that. But let's not make the same mistake again. So that information is out there, and I would love to send you. I mean, I have so much information on it, and we even have case studies on different things that we've collected all over the world. Because one of the things that we did that people didn't know that we did, when we launched the company, we also launched a patient registry in all those countries. And we gathered case studies from doctors all over the world. And then I used those to submit patents from everything from colon cancer to long COVID to depression to Lyme disease, autism. So those have been submitted. Yeah.
All of this comes under your company, The Root, right?
We have DRC Ventures, which I am the CEO of. Clayton is the CEO of the Root Brands. We actually have 31 companies, all based on patents and science and of.
So you're just getting started. I feel like things are really going to pay off at some point.
We really
just stick to it.
We really both are doing all of it together, but it's pretty much Root was the foundation of it because both of us felt like getting to the root of an issue to cure a cause was so important. And we even ended up getting the trademarks approved. So every lawyer told us you're never going to get cure the causes approved because you can't use that terminology, and we actually have the trademarks on it. And we have a product line called Clean Spirits, and I want to say this, that helps detox alcohol, and it also blocks so you don't gain weight and sugar and carbs and the next day and everything. And we were even able to get I filed the patents and we got the trademarks to actually cleanse the liver and cleanse the body because I ended up submitting data on how we could get rid of all the garbage in our liver. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
I love having this guy in the room. So he literally just handed over his phone. He was like, ask about colon cancer and grass-fed beef.
Oh.
A little birdie has told us. So
and I'm not sure exactly what that means, but apparently that's something that you have some information on.
So I was brought in to have a conversation to consult on something with the Human Genome Project. And during that conversation with one of our top oncologists and researchers in this country, who's phenomenal, he asked me if I understood about the omega-3, omega-6 connection, if anyone had discussed it with me. And I said, well, I 100% understand omega-3. In fact, I've developed different omega-3s, omega-6s, and done different things with it. And he said, then you understand that omega-6 with people with cancer can actually make the cancer grow or the tumor or the wound, or someone that has a microbiome issue, it can actually impact them negatively. And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. Like here I am, I have a cookbook that came out. I'll just say this for your audience so they can know something negative about me. I produced this cookbook. I love avocado oil, right? I used to cook with it.
Right.
Of course, I like ghee and olive oil and all that stuff. But through one of the studies that they had, they found out that some people's bodies that are inflamed and it can connect it, the omega-6 will actually, like if you have colon cancer or skin cancer, which I've had all these ulcerative colitis.
Feeds it?
It feeds it.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And they're like, not all of it, but especially when you cook with it, we're going to have more and more data come out. I go, well, that's going to be a shocking announcement when that's made, you know? And so
out goes our avocado oil.
Jesus Christ.
You could eat
out goes
avocados,
the grass-fed beef.
so then he said to me, like all these people that are drinking grass-fed milk and eating grass-fed meat, and I'm like, I'm like, wait a minute. And then of course I go to the nut milk.
Yeah.
Trying to look at omega-6s, my mind during the conversation is just, I'm just like,
reeling, right?
Reeling. And they're doing more and more research, but this was interesting. I don't want to divulge too much. I'm not sure how much I can say. A couple of things they found.
You can say all of it.
Okay. So in colon cancer,
It's just us.
THC and CBD were extremely helpful in colon cancer, especially the butter, right? Because you're looking at your fats, right? So, and of course, you guys just need to know this. I'm a scientist. I've worked on projects all over the world. I have a different opinion about stuff like that than most people because I'm in my like 20s and 30s working on projects that they declined in this country because it was THC, right? Well, my opinion is if someone has a brain tumor or cancer and that's going to help them, and I don't mean to even laugh about it. It's funny to me. It's ridiculous to me that we can use an opioid or fentanyl, but we can't use this, right? So it's so hard for me to accept as a human being. This is hard for me to accept.
Right.
And then I'm fighting a religion about it. And this isn't a religious topic for me.
Yeah.
This simply has to do with people's health.
Yeah.
And so he explained that to me. And then he explained that you could convert the omega-6 to omega-3. And if you could do that, then that person, the wound, they actually had 100 patients in a study. And they were able, between those different things, the colon cancer was gone. But then I realized that the products I had made, this is how interesting it is for me, had a lot of the same components of a nutraceutical they were using. And so I have one of my very best friends that was diagnosed with this. And she used our products and it helped her. And she also followed my advice of what, it's like she's one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met, and I would do anything she told me. But she comes to me for science. I go to her for like creativity and pictures and beauty. She's so amazing. But I was able. That's where I feel like I'm here. That's why I feel like I'm here. I don't take money for taking clients. I've been asked many times. I've been offered $45,000 an hour. I don't do that. I feel like the piece of me,
because that's not enough.
No, you know why?
It's really not.
I'm an artist, and my husband knows this. On the back of all my pictures, I used to write, we're each imperfect pieces to a perfect puzzle. And then I also wrote, everyone wanted her pieces, but she wanted to keep some of them. And so for me, this is the piece I will keep. I will help people that I'm close to and that I'm friends with and that need my help that I meet, but I'm not going to charge for it. Not that I'm against people charging for it. But we're doing okay from a business perspective. Yeah. And this is the piece I'm going to keep. Because I feel like each of us have these gifts and we should be able to choose when we use them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. The more I learn, I love it because I can help people. And when they come to me so I think where I'm the best in my life is a complex problem scientifically. I'm able to figure out the different pieces and I'll take the time to do it. I will actually go to sleep and tell my brain I'm going to focus on this, and Clayton knows this, my family, and I'll wake up with the answer.
Is that part of your, like, and first of all, before I say that, it's beautiful that you found the balance too in the way that where you do make money from it and where you give back.
Thank you for saying that, because it was a balance. Because you know, at some point you feel like you're selling your soul.
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
I get that.
I think all of us that are creatives feel that way. So you have to find it somewhere.
Yeah. And I think you beautifully found that balance. And I love hearing that. Do you think there's going to sleep and waking up with the answer as part of this clairvoyance part of you that exists, where you have dreams that are real things?
That always come true.
Yes, that always come true.
I think my husband wishes I didn't have that gift.
I bet.
Yeah.
It's
Never in those dreams.
Yeah. Right. Totally.
It's interesting. I would love for someone to do an interview with him someday and ask if I've been wrong about the dreams. Not that I want to be right, but my dreams are pure. I think if they were for a negative reason, they would never occur. But
I'm guessing if you said no, she's wrong most of the time, you guys would have a problem.
I wish I was wrong sometimes. Does
Yeah,
that
I
make
bet.
sense? I want you to know that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you an example. When the pandemic happened, I had already sat down my family and my closest friends, and even my best friends, even my husband, said, "You're crazy. We love you. We know that you were just in China. We know that you did all this stuff. We know that you have been exposed to it," but they're like, "There's no way. If something happens in the
It's
last
gonna
2
get
weeks," and
here.
here's what I said, and they all know, and they're all around me still. One of my best friends said, "It'll be 2 weeks at the most," and then Clay thought that. 2 weeks at the most, we'll have a problem. I said, "It's going to be 5 years. It's going to be 2 to 3 years of really bad things, and then the economy's going to hit, and we're going to have to deal with the economic problems that occurred because of this, because our worlds are going to shut down." So not even my sons or daughter believed me. And then unfortunately, again, I wasn't trying to be right. But I'd had
Yeah,
this
you didn't want to be right.
No, I had this dream for and my kids know this, for since before Kreider was born, so 22 years now of this happening, and
This
it happened.
global pandemic.
Yeah, I had already had that. And maybe it was because, but if I think about it, I had those dreams before I even knew that this probably, because I was actually told in different meetings, we're going to have this event and it's going to happen at some point. But for me, I've learned to listen to that. I think women and men have gut instinct. I'm going to go back to this. I'm not the only one. I think I was given this gift maybe when these horrible things happened to me, so it could take place of the gifts I lost, right? But my dreams usually aren't wrong. So, and a lot of times the dreams are basically a prediction, and what I will do is go tell that person. I did have a horrible situation with one of my best friends where I saw in the dream her husband having an affair, for example, and I had never seen this person. And so I was not going to tell her. I grew up with her. And Clayton was like, "You have to tell her because your dreams always come true." And I go, "I am not telling her." Then I go out to the kitchen and he's told her.
He's told her.
And so,
Yeah, there you go.
and so she shows me a picture and she says, "Which one was it?" Because she knew, because she grew up with me, and I pointed to her. And anyway, sad story, had been going on for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And so she pulled his credit cards. And he's a friend of mine. I wasn't trying to get him in trouble. I wasn't
want to be
I
right.
wasn't going to tell her, right? Because I felt like, you know how it is with your friends. I didn't feel like it was a good situation for me.
And then that's also hard when you know, and then you see it keep. It's just such
But
a
I don't
hard
know
place to be
I don't
in.
know everything. I want you to know that. It's
Well, I was going to ask you about stock exchange and Nvidia and see how I'm kidding.
You know what,
Do your
though?
dreams work
my
in the
gifts are
financial
not,
space?
You know what? I have to tell you, that's one area of my life that has not been my challenge, is financial. And if you ask me why, I think it's because my health has been, you know how you have this journey?
One was
Yeah.
the challenge.
Do you
so then the
understand that?
other-
Like
yeah.
and
Balance.
honestly, I haven't been great at relationships because work has been my relationship. So Clayton and I probably couldn't be together if it was someone else, because work, like my focus on this mission is actually why I think I'm here. So I failed in a lot of areas. I've just been able to help in a few areas. Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about your mission and what it is that you're doing, but just in a nutshell, what is your mission in this life, on this planet? What is your core mission that you're trying to achieve?
What is your legacy? What do you hope
you
your
wanna
legacy
leave?
is?
So my legacy, just like all of ours, I don't think will come into fruition until I'm no longer here.
Right.
But what I want to leave as a legacy is the improvement in scientific endeavors to help the world for future generations. I feel like we've been lied to and we've bought into it. And I feel like our pineal glands in our world, we're not seeing the reality. And I want to open people's eyes so they wake up and they can see that we really can evolve to be this amazing species. And maybe part of that's artificial because, but my mission is to make each person understand that their spirit and soul is so important and that without them, we can't accomplish what's needed. And that means I use my scientific mind to create solutions that can help not just this country, but other countries as well.
I say all the time, like I've learned way more in life from my failures than my successes, which I think you have also, but I think the ultimate gift that you were given and you're giving to everybody else came from one of the difficulties that you had, one of the
100%.
main difficulties that you had in life. And it's so amazing that you've turned that around the way you have, and you're giving with it the way you are, because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just kind of shy away from it, and they lose to a battle like that. And instead you've faced it. So it's incredibly
Impressive.
Thank you. Well, you guys have too. You're fighters, you're creators, you're someone that's not giving up. And I understand that everyone has those challenges. I don't think I'm the only one. But thank you for saying that, because I feel like we each have that option to either cover our heads and give up. I was like you. I didn't want to get out of bed. I felt lonely. Who do I talk to about this? But talking to you guys, for example, and actually I've had 2 really great meetings today, I'm less lonely. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
Of course.
being able to connect to people that I feel like are on the same mission, because you asked me. That's my piece of the mission. But I think all of us, the people I'm meeting on this journey that I'm connecting to, are trying to do something much better. They're trying to make a difference in the way that they're supposed to make a difference. So whether you're acting or doing marketing or sales, I feel like we're equally important. Like you can't, if it were me as a scientist and I hadn't met Clayton, I was a CEO and did different things, but I was never even on social media. So being able to be connected to someone that's really great at that and excels at that and has a gift, you guys know we couldn't do any of this unless all of us met each other. I mean that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I try to remember that. And another thing I want to say is I hope all doctors and scientists that work with customers and with patients out there listen to each other, because none of them have all the answers.
Don't be afraid to be wrong.
Yeah.
Being wrong is what forces you
Yeah.
to go back to the drawing board and
Don't
find
be
a
afraid
solution.
to speak.
Yeah.
I think too. I think sometimes you can very easily in a doctor's office feel bombarded with language that doesn't make sense, and then you
Yeah.
feel stupid asking questions
Yeah.
like you should probably know that, and so you just nod and smile and go along
yeah.
with it. I've heard that from so many people in my life where they're like, well, I don't know, he just said it and I didn't really understand, but I guess I felt like
That's
I
me.
should.
You've heard that from me.
Yeah.
Well, I
and-
feel bad for those people, because if you think about it, I got kind of, I got a heads up, right? Because look what my education is.
Yeah.
But that's why this became such a mission for me, because I understood 99% of the people don't go to school to just study science or medicine their whole life. So who's going to tell them the truth, right? And so anyway, it's been a pleasure to meet you guys. It really, really has. And I enjoyed it.
That's amazing.
An absolute
Same.
pleasure having you here.
Same,
and
same.
I think this is such an incredible episode for people to listen to. It may end up being 2 episodes, if I'm honest with you. We've chatted with you for so. I told you it
There
could
you
go all the way.
Yeah.
But Christina Rahm, thank you so much for joining us. It has been such a gift to meet you. And I'm so grateful for the conversation, but also so excited now to follow along even more on what you do. This has introduced me to you. And as I said at the start of this, I am so impressed with and fascinated by your brain, your story, your mission. I think you are absolutely building that legacy that you will leave behind. And I'm certainly along on this with you and inspired by you. Inspired to speak up more for myself, to trust my instinct even more, and to really look into the things that we've talked about. So thank you so much for sharing and all the work that you do.
Thank you. You're already connected. I feel it. Not that I'm the judge of anything, but I do feel the energy and the frequency. So I hope that you keep telling people that, so that, because like I think with women, sorry not to leave you out.
No.
But like
dude.
with women, I really feel like if we can work together, because typically we're nurturers, right? And we're healers, and we want everything to be better. So thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me. And both of you guys, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope we stay in touch.
Yes,
Thank you.
us too.
Thank you.
And for all of you listening and watching along, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Wow, what an episode to listen to. If you know anyone in your life that you think would benefit from listening to this, please share it along with them.
Everyone in your life would benefit from this. Are you kidding?
There is so much in here that is just beautiful information to have that is going to benefit, as Bryce said, everyone. So please share this episode along to everyone that you know. And as always, please like, follow, and subscribe. That helps us bring incredible guests like Christina on here so we can keep this moving. Thank you so much for being with us here on Oldish, and we'll see you on the next one.
I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that you don't have to navigate life alone. If there's something hard that you're dealing with or you're just ready for a change, then reach out to me at randyspelling.com, or you could DM me on Instagram, also at randyspelling. And if I can help you, I will. If there's a resource that I can share with you, I will also do that as well. Thanks.